come out, some broke in IndyCar silly season with Callum Ilott, young Callum Ilott, friend of the show. Great dude, very good driver. And his time has mutually agreed to upon come to a close with Juncos Hollinger. That news broke, and he will no longer be racing for them. So now he is out there. Kind of, we were talking before we started recording, but just kind of really ugly, kind of unfortunate, just weird situation that all came to be with Callum and Juncos.
Yeah, that was that's quite an interesting relationship. And obviously Callum, friend of the show, Juncos, like Ricardo Juncos, friend of mine. I consider him family for a very long time.
Right.
Since I think I won their first championship in car racing for them, and it feels like an eternity ago now. But they're great people. But there was obviously something going on there. The heat between him and Augustine Canapino, who again, friend of the show. There was a lot going on there. I mean, the Argentinian fans are super, super passionate. And obviously Ricardo is Argentinian as well, right? So I think I don't know the inner workings of that team, obviously. Like I know a lot of the people, but I don't know how Callum was to work with either. Like I didn't see a ton of interaction other than, public statements being issued about, how they support drivers or they don't want people to hate on them. But I think a couple times you'd see some of those statements were like, well, maybe they could have got behind their guy a little bit more. You know what I mean? And like Callum's a guy that like I think if you pay attention to the sport very well, you understand that Junco's probably not, the top team right now. They're new, they're getting better, but Callum put that sucker on the front row end of the year last year at Laguna Seca. This year he definitely was the lead car on that team. Several issues of bad luck, I would say, this year for him. And in general, that team might have struggled a little bit with performance, some places more than others, but like we all know that that's part of racing. But Callum is a guy who for sure deserves to be in IndyCar. And for this to happen, I would say it was surprising because I talked to Ricardo a little bit and he's like, well, we have like I have Callum, and unless someone wants him, like he's under contract to me, and I'm like, all right, well, there you go. But clearly there was there was something going on there, and again, not a lot has been said. I don't think I haven't seen a ton of interviews about it, but this is actually if people listened to the show last week, I mentioned that I had got text a rumor that I was like, whoa, this is kind of wild, and this was that rumor that I had got a text. And I was looking through it. I was like, no way. Like Callum is really letting go. And then we obviously, if we want to talk about alleged speculation that Romain Grosjean is going there, which they have announced, they put out a little statement, a little graphic, and they said, hey, when we announce our driver, I think they're announcing it today or soon, this week or something. But if you put the things together, there's a few flames on the announcement picture. And there's some of the writing was in French. Nathan Brown, who he's obviously a journalist. He was connecting the dots. He's like, there was a release or part of it was shown in French, and the flames on the picture announcement. He's like, it's Romain Grosjean, and so like we'll allegedly say that because that's the speculation is Grosjean is going there. But again.
Yeah, known Frenchie, known Frenchman, obviously.
Yeah, known Frenchman. Yeah, I find that to be an odd combination. I know that there was a funding element I think that was helpful for Juncos. I think they did need some funding, as I had talked to them about potentially racing for them next year, because I was like, hey, what does it look like? Like, what do we need? And to be fair to Ricardo, he was like, look, man, there's a ton of people walking around with money right now, and we just have to know how much is out there, who can we fit best with our operation. I think Grosjean, that is my most interested to see how that relationship develops team for next year with Grosjean and Ricardo. I don't know how well they know each other. I don't know if he's got any connections in the team there, but that is my very curious to see how this deal develops, and if how, yeah, just I'm very curious.
Well,
I like both people. I like all the
yeah.
people involved, which is kind of a shame to see everyone. There's a lot of chaos here, but very, very curious.
Well, yeah, and I'm just refreshing socials right now to see if anything had, been announced as we started recording here on Wednesday. Hasn't, haven't seen anything yet. But yeah, I mean, towards the end for Roman there at Andretti, like it was kind of well documented that he was kind of just like being a dick, like,
Yeah.
and that's at a team like Andretti. So how is he going to with a smaller team? Come in and is he going to throw ego around, throw weight around? Like what? Absolutely, to your point, that is going to be really interesting to see just how those minds that are working over there in that operation come together. If he is indeed the driver, which
Yeah,
he
I
is.
mean, that again, that's why I listed under relationship I'm most interested in seeing develop. So, like, Roman actually called me last week. Oddly enough, I hadn't talked to him in a while. He called me. He needed something for just some other random deal. But he seemed confident in what he had going on. But I still like I definitely enjoy my communications with Grosjean. He's always been cool to me, always raced me well, but you can definitely tell from the outside there was some disgruntled folks in that relationship with Andretti. Obviously, there
Mm-hmm.
was some arbitration going on, which we learned about. We learned
Mm-hmm.
definitions of those words. And now with Juncos, I mean, it's a
The season's best drivers are on their way to Phoenix for this weekend's championship race, and DraftKings Sportsbook is giving you the keys to the action. New customers can turn burnt rubber into big bucks. All you got to do is bet $5 on the race to get 200 instantly in bonus bets, no matter what happens on the track. The round of 4 is set, and even though a champion will be crowned this weekend at Phoenix Raceway, anyone could win the race. Teams will put it all on the line, so be sure to tune in to Dirty Mo Dough as they handicap the field and recommend bets to watch for the 2023 season finale. Get in on the red-hot racing action with DraftKings Sportsbook. Download the app now and use code SPEEDSTREET. New customers can bet $5 to get 200 instantly in bonus bets. That's code SPEEDSTREET only on DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours.
hope that we have a reality television show type drama potential. You know what I mean? Like I would love to see how that develops. I would love to see how first of all the steps that they take with that relationship with McLaren. Maybe there was a McLaren relationship, that maybe there was some McLaren connection that Grosjean keyed up. I don't know. But he knows all those guys over there. So very, very curious. And I think that's going to be, and him and Canapino too, like talk about two of the most followed drivers that we have on our grid. Can you imagine if they got into it? You'd have the entire nation of France going after the entire nation of Argentina. I mean, that would be a scene.
Yeah.
That would be an internet
Well,
scene of the ages.
I'm sure that we will probably see something like that based on the results and how things have panned out over the last couple of years.
As a fan, someone who is, I pretty much know that I'm not going to be full time in IndyCar. I can't wait to see it. You know what I mean? Like I'm gonna,
yeah, sure.
I'm excited to see what goes on. We'll obviously, looking like it's going to be great to be out there with everyone for the 500. But like, man, it's going to be fun to watch. It's going to be fun for us to talk about.
Where obviously that opens up. Where does that lead for Callum Ilott to fall?
Yeah.
Do you have any thoughts? Have you heard anything that you can relay here?
I really have not. I texted him immediately and I said, I said a few things and I said, so what do we got? And he's like, honestly, there's not much left because there isn't because Andretti was not going to run a fourth car. And, it would take a serious amount of money, a big investment for them because they lost the leader circle on that car to run a fourth car. Callum doesn't come with big sponsorship. Like Callum's not a guy who can just be like, hey, I'm going to throw my weight around. I'm going to be like, I'm going to show up with, a few different bags of money to like create my own future. Like he's he's not that guy. He's here because he's talented. He doesn't have a bag of money with him. So I think Andretti, if they really want to, have the strongest lineup, I would love to be there, but that's, that was out of the question. But do they go after him? I don't know. Maybe, like, technically they could do it, but think that's another few $1,000,000 they got to invest. I'm sure if they haven't planned on running a fourth car, it's too late now to really make that choice, because you got to hire the people, you got to have, the equipment. So I don't know where he ends up. I mean, if for him to go to Dale Coyne Racing, I don't see that happening, because Dale always needs money as well. Dale Coyne, they just made an announcement. They got Mitch Davis, I believe, to come back and be their team manager. Mitch, I think it's Mitch Davis. Yeah, he's been around a long time, so that's great. Dale finally got in the news again for some positive team building stuff. But I don't see Callum going there. So therefore I don't think there's anything left, unless the only thing that would happen is if someone adds another car, if there's some sort of additional car to the McLaren lineup, or and it would have to be a good team too, because like Callum doesn't want to race, at the back all year long. And again, the driver market seems to change all the time. So I don't know what's going to happen. Does he take a year off and go sports car racing? He could easily get, he has great relationships in sports cars. I don't know, but it would be a travesty to not have Callum Ilott on the grid after what he's done the last 2 years. And just the work that he's put in. Like, the guy has, he was with Ferrari Formula One and Alfa Romeo Formula One, like, very, very much almost on the verge of being in Formula One, because he's a good driver. And I think he proved himself in IndyCar as well, many, many times. It would be a shame to not have him on the grid. So I'm very curious to see. We still have a lot of things to play out here for this offseason.